Rid Dye, a tie-dye company which has helped us by donating a large sum of red and purple dye, as well as accommodating our large order for the remaining amount of dye.
Likewise, we'd like to thank AC Moore for supporting our cause. They were very generous and allowed us to purchase the 1,500 t-shirts at a discounted rate. This allowed us to be able to have enough t-shirts for every student and staff member at the school at a good cost.
And finally, we would like to thank all of the staff and students that have supported us and donated to this amazing campaign. Without you, we would not have been able to achieve our goal of purchasing shirts for each and every one of you. To be successful in SGA, we need to first and foremost have the support of our school behind our backs, and you have provided that for us. We are very thankful.
If at any time throughout this assembly you feel emotionally overwhelmed, we do have a crisis team available to you. They are located in the back of the auditorium, so you can leave your seat and head back to see them. And now we would like, can you please give a warm welcome to Mr. Brett McCoy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick bit about me. 1986 graduate of North Hagerstown High School. Husband, father, grandfather, senior pastor of Cutting Edge Ministries. Retired from the Hagerstown Department of Police. Spent 5 years in narcotics, 6 years on the SWAT team. 11 years as an SRO at South Hagerstown High School, also co-founder and president for 10 years of the Hagerstown Area Police Athletic League. August of 2015, I was appointed to the Judicial Nominating Committee for Washington County by Governor Hogan. Currently employed with the Maryland Department of Health Police and recently elected to the board of the Community Foundation of Washington County. Just a little bit about me, that's fluff. Okay? Who I am. I'm gonna put my dad hat on today. I don't know the majority of you, but I do care. I go as far as to say, I love you. For those who have not heard it, that's for you. And I hear laughter and all that, and that's okay, but ladies and gentlemen, you have classmates that go home every day and don't know what that is. Some of them go home all the time and hear it, but not necessarily feel it. It's okay. This was a piece of wisdom by the richest and wisest man ever to live, Israel's King Solomon. He said, losing self-control leaves you as helpless as a city without a wall. Anyone want to take a stab at that? What's it mean to you? Somebody? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Leaves you vulnerable. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. Excellent. Anybody else? Thank you both for that. Sometimes we look at losing self-control as becoming completely unraveled. But ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you that the majority of issues don't start that way. They start very, very small. They go unnoticed. You know, the individual sitting to your left and right could be right now in the midst of crisis and you don't know it. Because we have this thing that we can put on at any given time called a facade. It's a face that we can put on. From the outside, it's excellent. Everything's great, everything's fine, nothing's wrong. Our habits, our patterns, they don't change sometimes until it's too late. But here I am today to ask you, if you are struggling today, and I don't care what it is you may be struggling with, you do not have to go through this alone. There are a host of caring and loving adults in this building, ladies and gentlemen. If need be, and I am permitted by Mr. Alshire, I will come back and talk with you. I will listen and be non-judgmental. because life is very precious. Each and every one of you are uniquely you. You may not think that, but you are. And you have so much to contribute and offer, not only to this school, to this community, but really to the world. And I would really like to see each and every one of you move into that, okay? Tell you a little bit about a young man named Kyle. He was born December 1st, 1988. He was a graduate of North Hagerstown High School, 2006, second oldest of 7 children. Branded as #1 big brother. He was the sibling leader, though he was not the oldest child. Uncle, friend, camp counselor for the police athletic league. He worked for the Hagerstown Department of Police on an alcohol and tobacco initiative. And basically what he would do is he was hired by the police department to go in and purchase alcohol and cigarettes underage, and the people that sold it would be fined in accordance to the law. He went to the community college, got a certificate in CNA. He was a natural bodybuilder and dock manager at FedEx. Just a little bit about him as I continue. Next slide for me, please. Here's some of the things he was involved in and did here while he was at North. He was an honor roll student, athlete, SGA, student aid. He won the North Star Scholarship Award 2006 when he graduated. And that's a picture of him, a prom picture. Handsome young man. Did not get his looks from his father, but I'm okay with that. That's a joke. Thank you. Lighten up. Next slide. Here is some family pictures. Kyle's kind of in the middle with the blue hoodie up there. He's holding a nephew up in the right-hand corner. A picture with his sister there on the left. We hung out. Modern day Brady Bunch, if you will. Next slide, please. Okay. Here's a couple pictures. I do apologize for the image quality. I don't even think you can see the one at top. He is the center bodybuilder down here out of the 5. And I don't know if you can see the very top picture. That's when he first started. And the lower picture. And again, this was a natural bodybuilding, no drugs involved. They were tested prior to getting on stage. I'm very proud of him. He picked up weightlifting, really enjoyed it. That competition was in Woodbridge, Virginia. That's in a period of time where he was really alive. He was doing what he loved to do. Helping others, training himself. Ate extremely healthy. Extremely. And that's just a picture of him and some of the other counselors rolling around. Some of the football players in here may recognize that as they're called monkey rolls. It's just a drill to pop up quick and jump over. Next slide. Losing self-control. I noticed my wife and I, there was a period of time where Kyle's friends began to change. He was always around. He started to not come around. Again, friends changed. His appearance began to change. He was always clean cut. He always had money in the bank. There was a period of time where he stopped having money in the bank. Stopped taking care of himself. Not dirty, smelly, but just more like grungy. This was not typical for him. Okay? It was not typical for him. We found out that he was using drugs. And I was not a happy camper. And I went to the chief of police at that time. My sergeant, we went into his office and I informed him of what was going on in my son's life. Because I wanted him locked up. This was something I didn't stand for. He knew that, but he began to make choices. I have no idea why he began to make these choices. I don't know what caused it. Between 2013 and 2014, we noticed an increase in his struggle. He became more distant, came to the house less, was missing birthday parties, holiday appointments and engagements, just very distant. Every now and then he may send a text, but that's about it. One thing he did do, he really did not miss work. He was always working, which I thought was kind of interesting. He had a lot of time saved up because he didn't miss work. He was losing vacation days because he never missed work. This is a photograph towards the end of the year 2014. This was at a graduation from his brother's police academy at the time at the community college. And he wears a smile there, but that is not the smile from a young man from roughly 4 years prior. Worn, tired, almost hopeless. And I don't know, Coach, if you remember, I came to you and we had a conversation during wrestling season a couple of years ago. And I was looking for advice. And you gave it to me. You were a support. I appreciate that. We'll never forget. So, ladies and gentlemen, we tried everything we could do. We finally encouraged Kyle to get into a drug treatment program. It wasn't inpatient, it was outpatient. It was in a group setting. And he went through, got in, and did his thing, and, wow, look at me, this is great. And he got out. Look at this, I got this fancy certificate. I did it, I completed it. The only problem was he did not do it for himself. He did it for everybody else. He didn't take it serious. It was just something to do so people would let him alone. That's okay. So, January 2015, I'm getting dressed for work. And I get a call saying that Kyle was in the hospital. He had an asthma attack. I really didn't think too much of it at the time. I know, he has asthma. He spent some time, actually, when he was in high school here, like 2 Christmases in a row. He spent his Christmas break in the hospital because he had pretty severe asthma attacks. He spent 3 or 4 days in the hospital. So I really was not that concerned about the asthma attack. Got undressed, called into work, drove out to the hospital to see what was going on. And when I got there, I was met by some doctors, and they told me what was going on. I took a look at Kyle, and they were working on him, and they said, well, we can't really do a whole lot for him here. We're going to send him down to shock trauma to see if, they could get him squared away. And they were pretty confident that they could get ahead of him. So they were gonna fly him down in a helicopter, but what happened is it began to snow. And they made the determination that it would not be safe to fly, so they ordered an ambulance and they carted him down in an ambulance to shock trauma. That is a picture of his brother sitting there. J.D. McCoy was also a graduate of North Hagerstown High School. He's actually picked up the bodybuilding thing where Kyle left off. So we get together and roll down to Baltimore, and when we get into the hospital and the wing where they're doing their work, I was met by a team of doctors, and they told me that the procedure that they were planning on doing with him to try to help. Now, I don't know if you guys can see in that photograph or not. At the very top of his head, it's like he has wires coming out of it. Can you see that? What happened they took and drilled a hole in his skull, and they put a meter, they put a rod in there, and they were trying to measure swelling in his brain. And the chief of the team came in and said, Mr. McCoy, I think this is what we're going to try to do. We see the swelling going on here, so what we're going to try to do is we're going to cut his skull in two places, on one side and on the other, and remove part of the skull cap. This will allow the brain to expand and help the swelling, so the body can do what it needs to do with the swelling, and eventually it will come back down and all will be well. So they were prepping and getting ready to do that, and he comes back in and he says, we have a change of plan. We don't think that's going to work. We're just going to let it alone on its own. And this was the interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen. I found out that my son had a skull fracture at the base of his skull. And they asked me about that. And I'm like, I have no idea what happened. They said, it's not fresh, it's not new, it's been there for quite some time. And listen, the only thing I can think of is that he was involved with something that it should not have been drug-wise and got hit in the back of the head at some point and it fractured his skull. Now, what this ended up doing, it gave him more time because that skull fracture there, it was a weak point. So when the brain expanded, it actually allowed, at that weak point where the fracture was, it did allow the brain to expand a little bit more, okay? So they ended up not having to do the cutting. So that was Wednesday, the 21st. Go home, come back down the next day. Back with the surgical team, the doctors. Have you guys ever seen a picture of a brain, a scan of a brain where you can actually make out the hemispheres and it has good detail in it? They showed me a picture of Kyle's brain. And on the image, you could see his skull, but the inside was as white as my shirt. Totally full because of the swelling. No detail whatsoever. Could not make out the hemispheres, lobes. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an eye. But anyway, you could not make out anything inside of his skull other than a white mass there. So the doctors at that point said, we're not sure that we can do anything more. So ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday, January 22nd, 2015, I had to make the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. And that was to tell the doctors to stop trying to save my son's life. And instead, harvest his organs. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want your parents to have to go through that. I don't. And listen, in your mind you could be thinking, I don't do drugs. But listen, you may get in a vehicle with someone who's consuming alcohol. Prom season's coming soon. You could drink too much. You could be at a party. It could be laced. You could be smoking something that you shouldn't be smoking. Really, really be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Because listen, when that young man walked these halls before he graduated, never in a million years did I ever think that I would have to make that decision. I always thought he would be the one that would make the preparations for me. So ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that I'll never experience. I will never have the pleasure of sitting in a pew watching the delight of my son's face as his bride walks down the aisle to get married. I will never have the pleasure of holding children he produced as my grandchildren. I'll never have the privilege of talking with him again, giving him advice, getting advice from him. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I was robbed. Our community is being robbed. There is this thing that's called addiction. It doesn't know color and it doesn't know gender. It doesn't care where you live. It could be the wealthiest neighborhood in this county. It doesn't care what you drive, what kind of education you got. It literally lurks on your doorstep every single day, just waiting for the opportunity to creep in. And once it creeps in and gets a hold of you, it will not let go. Now, we had a little sunshine now that I rained on your parade, and I'm sorry. I don't like to leave an atmosphere hushed and depressed. So I'm going to tell you the goodness that came out of this story. After we made the decision to have the doctors stop saving his life, we went across the hall and started making preparations for organ donation. And as we sat down and talked, the lady presented me with a piece of paper from Living Legacy, and she said, this is called a direct donor form. If you have anyone that you know of that could potentially benefit from receiving Kyle's organs, write them down here, and I'm not going to say the individual's name. He actually happens to be a member of my church. And this is the really cool thing about it. I called him on the phone, and I said, hey, I need your date of birth. And there was a slight pause on the phone. I didn't tell him why. He gave it to me. So I wrote his name and date of birth on the phone. The woman went in the database and looked and said, yeah, he's on the list. He needs a kidney. So I said, okay. I said, that's awesome. That's great. She goes, no. Don't get your hopes up. Because the matches for these things are like 1 in 100,000, something ridiculous. And I looked her in the eye and said, ma'am, this is a match. So as we continue to hang out there, probably about 2 hours later, I get a phone call from this same guy. He goes, you're not going to believe this. I'm on my way to Baltimore. They got a match. They got a kidney for me. And in his joy, tears streamed down my face. Because where a chapter in a life ended, a new one was about to begin. Mr. King, next slide, please. January 24, 2015, God gave the life through an unselfish act of organ donation. His liver was gifted to a 66-year-old man. We have not heard from this gentleman, so I don't know how things are going. Kyle's right kidney was gifted to a 56-year-old man, the gentleman that I just talked to you about. Kyle's kidney and pancreas were gifted to a 34-year-old man. I won't mention his name, but he contacted Living Legacy. And he said, I would really like to contact the family of Kyle. So they contacted us because that's how it works. They just don't give people the information because some people don't want anything to do with that. And I held on to that gentleman's name probably for about 6-8 months. I would not call. But then on December 1st, Kyle's birthday, I reached out to him. Shared some laughs on the phone, shared some tears. This 34-year-old male, he was dating a young lady, but he wouldn't commit marriage because he didn't think he was going to live. After he received Kyle's kidney and pancreas, and everything was going well, he knew everything would be great and proposed marriage to this young lady. So we made the phone call in December, Valentine's weekend of, what was that, Terry? It was 2016, Valentine's weekend, they came to Hagerstown and we had dinner together. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, awesome young man, regardless of errors, mistakes we all make, I am before a group of awesome young people. 30 years from now, you probably won't remember this conversation, but I certainly do not want any of you standing up here delivering a message to young people in my boat, in my shoes. So again, ladies and gentlemen, be uniquely you. Be uniquely you. Don't follow what everyone else is doing. I know we don't have time for questions and answers, but I'm actually finished with my presentation. So I trust that it spoke to your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hosting me this morning. Listen, I really greatly appreciate it. Staff, Mr. Stank, Mr. Robinson, they were excellent. And you both know I've been in the school system for quite some time. You guys are an awesome audience. I can't tell you how awesome it is to sit in a group of young people and you all be that respectful. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy, for sharing your story and taking the time to help us get to know the impact drugs can have on a person and a family. To honor Kyle's memory, thank you for sharing your story. The SGA would like to hold a collection.
So right now, members of the executive board are going back to those doors leading out from the auditorium. If you have any spare change or a donation you'd like to make, please just toss it in one of those buckets. We'll also be collecting at lunch for the remainder of the week, and we will look to the McCoy family in determining where the funds will be donated.
Be sure to stay tuned for information about dyeing shirts and signing pledge cards. Our hope is that the card you keep may provide you with some information that may someday save. Our hope is that the card you keep may provide you with some information that someday may save the life of someone you love, or maybe even yourself.
And just remember, be smart, don't start. If you never start using, you will never ever have to deal with the addiction.
So North High, you are going to be dismissed back to your homeroom to pick up your belongings and then released to second mod. But please stay seated until the administration or the staff help for you to leave.